Welcome to our first psychonutrition supplement here in the month of February. And I want to start by saying something very clearly, okay? This is not a nutrition lesson. There's literally no rules coming your way. There's going to be no protocols to follow, no list you need to memorize or implement in some perfectionist fashion, okay? This is context. And context matters because when focus feels inconsistent, most people assume that the problem is mental. They assume that they're distracted, unmotivated, undisciplined, scattered. But very often what's happening isn't mental at all. It's physiological. Okay, so today we're going to talk about cortisol, not as a problem, not as something that's too high or too low, but as a rhythm. Because when you understand the rhythm your system is responding to, a lot of self-judgment can soften. And clarity becomes easier to support. Okay, so this is about understanding what your body is doing, not trying to control it. All right, so let's start. I want to start with a reframe that actually matters. And I know, there's all kinds of hype going on out there in the world, and it's all great. It's bringing awareness, but I want you guys to hear this. Cortisol is not the enemy. It's an activation hormone. Cortisol is, it's what helps you wake up in the morning. It mobilizes energy so you can move, think, engage. And when it's timed well, it actually supports focus. So the goal is not to eliminate cortisol. The problem doesn't come from cortisol itself. It comes from irregular cortisol patterns. So here's what I mean by that. Okay, your system is designed for cortisol to rise in the morning, support alertness and engagement throughout the day, and gradually taper as evening approaches. So when that rhythm is intact, focus tends to feel more available. Decision-making feels real steady, right? Your nervous system doesn't feel like it's constantly revving up. But when cortisol spikes at the wrong time, like late in the day, during prolonged stress, without resolution, right? Focus starts to feel real fragile. And so when cortisol stays elevated for too long, what does that mean? Our clarity drops. And the impulsivity rises, not because you're careless, not because you lack discipline, but because your system is operating in extended activation. Okay, so that's not a mindset issue. It's a load issue. So this connects directly to what we named this week in the Insight and Impact Focus Group, our cognitive clutter, right? The mental overload that isn't just living in the mind, it's registering in the body as things like unfinished tasks, constant urgency, emotional labor without closure, holding space without having any release, right? All of that increases cortisol output. And here's the key piece most people don't realize. Your body doesn't differentiate between mental demand and physical demand. To it, demand is demand. A looming deadline and an emotional conversation can activate your system just as strongly as physical exertion. So when your mental overload never resolves, when things stay open-ended, right, your activation stays high and clarity begins to erode. That's why this next line here, right, like this next piece really matters. Okay, clarity suffers when activation never resolves. So for all of you, go till it's time to lay my head down on the pillow at night, right? For those of you that are like that have a hard time focusing and you feel like here and here and here, it's not because you're incapable of focus, but because your system hasn't been given a chance to downshift. So I want to ground this in something really practical and gentle for you. This is not about controlling cortisol, okay? Not at all. It's about supporting predictability. Predictability tells your nervous system, I know what to expect. I don't need to stay on high alert. It's safe to release it. Some very simple supports, not prescriptions, just considerations can help restore that rhythm. So things like waking at roughly the same time most days, hydrating early in the day to support your basic physiological signaling, gentle morning activation, movement, light, engagement, rather than that abrupt intensity, right? Some people just are like in bed until the very last minute, and then they feet hit the ground and they're go, right? Just boom. So, and then we want to also avoid long windows of fasted stress when possible. And I want you to be able to do this without shame or rigidity. So this isn't about doing everything right. I don't want you to be putting pressure on yourself to perform here. Okay, it's about reducing unnecessary strain. Predictability doesn't require perfection. It requires enough consistency that your system doesn't feel like it has to stay braced all the time. And then when the nervous system feels safer, clarity is going to have room to return. So if your focus feels unreliable right now, which I know a lot of yours do, right? That doesn't mean you're unfocused. It means your system is responding to load. That work takes time. Okay, to get into this, shifting. So small shifts matter in this space more than big fat dramatic changes. So regulation is going to come before the clarity. Okay. So if you've been trying to think your way into the ability to focus while your system is still activated, it makes sense that it hasn't helped, right? Nothing is wrong with you. I get it. You feel like you're beating the head against the wall, but your body is doing what it's designed to do. Okay, so I want to anchor this, right? You don't need to push focus, right? Like, oh, everybody's always gotta focus, I gotta focus, and they put all this pressure on themselves, and then the other things start going, right? You don't need to push focus. You need to support the rhythm that allows it. So this week, I want you to simply notice moments when clarity improves without effort. Moments when thinking feels easier, when decision-making softens, when you don't have to force yourself, because those moments matter. They're your system responding to support. And we'll keep building from there, right? Steadily, intelligently, and without pressure.